What is up, y'all? Welcome back to another episode of the Talk of the Ring Show. If you are new here, then make sure you're hitting that subscribe button because 2024 is going to be the year. You know, we got so many crazy, amazing guests coming on, but tonight it's a kind of familiar face. I just met him, but he's all right. He kicking ass at the sanctuary. But let's give a warm welcome to Vince Torres.
That's
Hello.
all right.
You all right? I'm just kidding. So I always hop right into it with who or what got you into wrestling.
Yeah. So, back when I lived in New York, my great grandfather, big wrestling fan. He used to put on Monday Night Raw, and it was cool until they switched it to 3 hours. I couldn't stay up for the full 3 hours, but yeah, it was around the time it was like Rey Mysterio, CM Punk, mask versus hair match. Crazy time for wrestling, especially for a guy like me, 5'9", a little chubby. Those are my kind of guys I need to watch. So.
No, absolutely. And you wrestle for the sanctuary. So your cousin is, I'm pretty sure my dad said he's your cousin, but Chris P is your cousin, right?
Yep. Just retired him.
Him to his face. Are you and Chris P? I definitely choose you over Chris P.
I appreciate that. I get that a lot.
He's part of the Walker clan, so that's probably why.
Yeah, it's not gonna be around too much now. Last show, kind of whooped his ass. So
yeah,
that's the first one here, right?
yeah. But yeah, I don't blame you. I'm sure since you guys are like family, you've been whipping his ass forever. So
really, and he's my older cousin, so nice that I'm like, I'm at the point where I could do it to him.
As you should. So my dad's in the chat hyping you up because that's what he does. And fun. So if people don't know, are you a heel or are you a face?
I think it depends on where I'm at. At Sanctuary, I get a very mixed reaction because I'm not the nicest guy, but like my name, unapologetic Vince Torres, I'm just who I am, and whether that makes people dislike me or like me, that's up to them. Me personally, I'm just gonna do me, and that's where I'm at right now.
No, absolutely. I mean, I always say on whoever I have on, I'm like, yeah, you're definitely a healer, you're definitely a face, but you are one that like you can go one of two ways. Like you're always smiling and stuff, but if like they fucked you over, you don't like what they're doing, you kick their ass.
That's right. That's what I do.
Kind of both. So who trained you?
Okay, so bunch of people because the Sanctuary's big group of people. You see guys like John Schultz, Andre Polino, and then the promoter John Trotsky, all my main trainers. And then like I've been recently going to High Ground a lot recently, and I've been training with them for a little bit. Molson's a big help, and guys like Grey Wolf, tremendous at like polishing what I already know, and that's kind of where I've been walking around. And then you pick stuff up as you go.
No, yeah, absolutely. I know Crow is a trainer, I think, at High Ground. He will work.
I've known Crow since I was like this big. So.
Oh my god! Funny story. Crow is like my sponsor, so whenever we go to shows, like he pays for it all and everything. And I'm like, oh, look at the little peanut in the ring because he's so smart.
He's like, he has an intimidating presence.
Yeah, I used to be so afraid of him, and now I'm like, bro, I will call you short to your face. I don't care.
I don't know if I can do all of that, but.
So how long would you say, like, from when you first originally started training, how long would you say you trained for before you got, like, a legit match?
Well, honestly, it was like 6 months. You're not supposed to do it, but Sanctuary is a little weird. Yeah. So I came in at 6 months, and I, like, I got thrown around a bit. I wrestled the original Stunt Cat, not the new one that's been running around. I don't know what he's all doing, but the original Stunt Cat who was actually my trainer, Jordan Pau. One of my trainers, Jordan Pauco. I didn't mention him earlier.
Yeah.
Wrestled him, and then like I did like 7 matches where I just got my ass beat. Had no idea what I was doing. I was just going in there, happy kid, just happy to be in the wrestling ring. And then I walked out not as happy. But altogether, I'm going on like 3 months in 3 years in 2024. So 3 years training.
No, definitely. I mean, I think the Sanctuary is more like I just recently started going there, and it's like it's so laid back. It's so much fun, and it was so funny to me because like my first show, they were like, "You want to do commentary?" I was like,
"You should try it out."
I don't know. I did it, but it was different than obviously podcasting and ring announcing, but it was fun. I guess it's all right.
Next season, I got you. You want to be a commentator? I got you.
I'll think about it. I'll let you know. But we have Teresa in the chat saying Vince the student.
That was my original gimmick.
Oh.
They used to announce me as Vincent the student or Vincent the ref, depending on like, because I was refing and I was a student. So
I like that was
unfortunately,
all out of the sanctuary.
everything was out of the sanctuary.
Okay, I see you. So for you, what would you say is like your favorite thing about wrestling as a whole?
About being like a wrestler or just wrestling in general?
How about both?
Okay, so I'd say about being a wrestler, it's definitely the sense of community I've discovered. Like coming out of high school and like, not sure what I'm doing with my life. Wrestling kind of helped me find like a really good social group. Guys like Jorge Guapo, as much as I can't stand him as a wrestler, one of my best friends. Audrey Polino, he's like those guys like they honestly help make me the person I am now, and they kind of help me establish the unapologetic character. And then you have Precious, of course.
I love Precious.
Everybody loves Precious.
Precious, precious.
Yeah, no, and like I'm the youngest, like out of like the initial group. Like I'm 21, and everyone else they're all already getting up there. But so I've got a lot, and I've got a lot of advice, and I think it's just been nice to, because I'm the oldest of six. So this is the first time I got to be the little brother in the situation where there's a bunch of big brothers, and it's a different experience, and I kind of like it. And then wrestling as a whole, I love the art style that wrestling presents. Um, I think there's art in everything, and I think pro wrestling is definitely its own form of art. I'm a big fan of old traditional Japanese wrestling, guys like Mizawa, Kabachi. I'm not sure if you're familiar with all of them, but I'm a big fan of just the way it's all presented. I love the respect they have for the sport. I love that's what it is. It feels like a sport, and it's not a sport. Let me say this now: as a sanctuary performer,
yeah,
it's not a sport. It hurts, but doing theater hurts too. Doing ballet hurts. It's just I just respect the respect they have for it. And wrestling has this thing where it's like a live performance, but it's like it's theater. And I've also been a fan of Broadway for a while now. I've seen Wicked, I've seen Hadestown, Book of Mormon, and wrestling is straight up just it's that. Like you said, it hurts.
Okay. I like that. That's different. I never had a wrestler on that likes Broadway. I love Broadway.
Broadway's awesome.
Yet, but it's okay. I like it. So in the chat, my dad says, thanks to your mom, Torres, we started going to the sanctuary.
Yeah, no, she's my biggest advocate. She's out there. Sometimes I feel like she's better at advertising me than I am. But she brings in the views. You weren't around for Sanctuary Mania next year. Hope you will be. Big crowd. We drew in there was over 100 people between me and Jorge. We brought in our whole family. It was crazy.
That's fun. It's like that's the cool thing about the sanctuary, because like a lot of like companies now are like so like about themselves, but the sanctuary, like we went there for our first show. Well, it was my first show, and I was like, okay, I like this. It's laid back. It was fun. We were just screaming. I was like, whoa. I'm a loud fan, and I haven't had that like everyone can hear me in so long. So when I went to the sanctuary and I was screaming at like you and Precious and Crispy, I was like, whoa.
Yeah.
I am louder than I
thought. Too, so like we know who's screaming at.
I was like, okay, I wasn't expecting myself to be that loud, but it was fun. I like it.
Well, that's what's so nice about the place. It just feels like a community, and like we all have our troubles and all that, but that's family. And like when I go there, I feel like I'm family. Those are like my older brothers. Those are my younger brothers. Like Nate, when he comes around, that's my younger brother, Suncat. They're just all great. Like at the end of the day, we're all great people just trying to like follow our dream or like make the most out of it. And I think that's what Sanctuary is. Sanctuary gives me that vibe. It's like, all right, it is what it is. Let's make the most out of it. And then like we have these lights that take it to a whole nother level. So it's really us. Like sometimes we just gotta throw stuff together. We'll put pretty lights on it, and it'll be like, all right, this looks like a product. And that's what Sanctuary is.
No, absolutely. When I first went the very first time, I was like, whoa, this is different. I like this. And then ever since we went to every show, and then the last show, it was like really cold. I was like, no, I love the sanctuary, but
we don't got no heat in there.
But the chat is going. So my dad's chanting the sanctuary. And then Teresa says, did you both plan to match with red tops? We did not. It's crazy.
I threw this on just now. Like, I didn't know. I was going to throw on a Sanctuary shirt. Could not find it.
Yeah,
So
I was just in my work clothes, so it was like, oh, it's okay.
there you go.
And then so we have the unknown saying the best in the world, Vince Torres.
I'm right. At least someone believes it.
I believe it, but
Uh,
yeah. And then Maddie goes and says, we are going to have to check out the sanctuary. Absolutely.
I
It's
think
such
Sanctuary is like, it's not wrestling, and that's like I have to make that the most clear thing ever. It really like
no.
you go to a pro wrestling show, it's all rowdy. Sometimes people are drunk. Like there's a specific type of crowd. Sanctuary brings in whoever's around the area, and it's like, all
Yeah,
right, please get in here. We got these guys who want to do something. Please stay. And
absolutely.
sometimes they stay, and that's the best part. Like we make legitimate like connections with the people around us, and I feel like that's our drawing point, connection. And I don't think any pro wrestling company could ever accomplish something that stunt theater like we are can.
No, also it's like it's really cool for me because like for wrestling shows we have to travel like an hour or 2 hours to shows, but the
So,
sanctuary is quite literally like 10 minutes from my house and 5 minutes from my jobs. So I can literally right after work be like, okay, we're going to the sanctuary, and there you go.
yep, and you go right home. It's not too bad.
It's not like, oh, okay, now we have to take forever to go home, and it's right there. So it's really fun.
Yeah.
But, so Teresa says everyone is welcome at the sanctuary, And then Maddie says, haha, it's me, Brandon. I don't know. It was logged into Matt. Well, okay. They're having their own conversation there too. And then my dad's like, and it's local.
That's
so,
right. It's local. That's the
very,
best part. Support local businesses, whether it's food, theater, anything. Support local businesses.
absolutely, absolutely. So now what would you say is the hardest part about, wrestling, being a wrestler, both like,
I think it's so I always describe it as like a mirrored shell. Um, as a human being, I feel like I'm very reflective off of who I'm talking to. And in wrestling, you got to kind of break out your shell, and you got to be your own person, like your own personality, or you're just another guy. And I think it's differentiating when I'm walking out and then I'm like, all right, I hate everybody right now. So like I go out there, and I'm like, I'm just happy that people are actually at Sanctuary because that's how much I love the product.
yeah.
And I think it's carrying that out of Sanctuary, especially for me as someone who's like, I've been so diehard to this place. Like I grew up watching Sanctuary. So when I go somewhere else, it's like I got to recapture everything again. So one time after a show, I went out and a couple of people were at the show, and they're like, "Oh, you're really not a douchebag," and I'm like, "Oh, gee, thanks."
No, I love that. And it's so funny too, because like when there's those younger fans at the shows, like they believe everything.
Yeah.
So like you come out with screaming at them, they're gonna think you're that bad guy, and then you're like really nice to them. They're like, oh, okay. That's not how you just were out there. But like that was my twin brother. I'm a whole different person.
That's Vince Torres. I'm Vincent Torres.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know who that was, but I'm the nice one.
Right.
Exactly. So now, if you got the opportunity to be like on WWE or AEW, and you had to pick one, which one do you think you would pick?
I prefer the WWE product quite a lot. I'm a bigger fan of like sports entertainment, like sit down and watch. Like that's something I could sit down and just enjoy with a group of friends. It feels like football. That's my football. But as a pro wrestler, I feel like the landscape is better for a guy like Vince Torres. When you look at me, it doesn't scream WWE. But just recently, a guy like Eddie Kingston that no one ever thought could be a champion in his own right. No one thought could be on national television. He comes from New York, just like me. Puerto Rican Irish guy, just like me. Yeah, it feels like it's like he. Oh shit! I just dropped my tripod. We're all right. He just makes me feel like I have a reason to keep going, and it's not like, all right, this is a hot. Like it feels like there's a spark of hope when I see Eddie Kingston, and then I feel like AEW is where that spark of hope often tends to lead.
I mean, I agree. I think for a lot of wrestlers, not even wrestlers, just people in general, like involved in wrestling, WWE is always the goal.
Yeah.
But like as a temporary thing, a lot of times like AEW is good, like if you still want to be on the indies, because like you have that, free little
Blues.
yeah. Yeah. But okay, so now for you, how do you feel about like hardcore death style weapons kind of stuff?
I'm scared of needles. I hate needles. So thumbtacks and all that all terrify me. Now the thing is, like, I feel like I'm in a match and someone just pours them out, I'm taking it. I really want to work a hardcore match. I just don't want to work it for nothing. I want it to be like to be a reason I go in there and stab myself with a thumbtack or go through a table. The closest thing I've ever done to that is at Sanctuary Mania. It was a table, and it wasn't even like I'm gonna pull back the curtain a little bit. It wasn't even a real table. We weren't allowed to use the real table. So we took a bunch of styrofoam, me and Jorge Guapo, and we kind of taped it all together, and we hope it stood together. And that was my hardcore match.
Close enough.
Yep.
I mean, and you could say, yeah, I did a hardcore match. It's close enough.
Yeah.
It's fine. But so my father says, what about Impact or New Japan Pro Wrestling? So out of those two, if you had to pick.
Oh, I take New Japan over any company. Japan in general, I prefer Pro Wrestling Noah, but if it's New Japan over a WWE or an AEW, my heart goes to Japanese wrestling because WWE brought me in as a fan, and then Japanese wrestling made me view it as someone who wants to be a wrestler. It made me view it as someone who's like, I want to be able to create art like this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I get it. So it's not a it wasn't a common thing, but it's getting more commonly known now. How do you feel about like male versus female wrestling? Or
it's hard for me because I have little sisters. But I'm not opposed to it. Like, I would sit down and watch an intergender match. And honestly, I think I would probably do an intergender match. It's something that I'm gonna have to get over eventually because that's just the world we live in today. And you gotta grow with the times. And I think I just gotta join the party at that point.
No, absolutely. It was so funny too because the one sanctuary show me and my dad went to, I'm pretty sure it was your sisters. They were sitting like right across from us, and like they were like screaming. I was like, okay, I can vibe with you. And then I forgot what match it was, but then they started booing Precious. I'm like, I don't know if I could vibe with you now.
No, they don't like Precious.
Precious.
It might be me. It might be me. You know, I ducked the hug, and they weren't happy. They were kind of happy. They didn't want us to be a tag team. And I let them get into my ear, I guess, because I ducked the hug, and I just kept walking.
Terrible.
It's kind of freeing.
Terrible.
Not 100.
Okay, yeah, that's all right, I guess. So, like, let's say your younger siblings or like a fan at the show comes up to you and was like, "I want to do exactly what you're doing." What advice would you give them?
Don't. No. I honestly I would say. Wrestling is expensive. I think that's the number one thing I want to make sure. Make sure you don't go into wrestling just instantly thinking like this could be a career path. This could be my main source of anything. Wrestling is a passion, and if you don't have the passion, you honestly don't belong in wrestling. And I know that sounds like really blunt, but I've faced so many people, and they all love this thing. I couldn't imagine going in the ring with someone who's here expecting a payday over actual enjoyment of something. Because a lot of times we'll work for free, and I don't mind because I love wrestling. It's what I always wanted to do. So to go in there and just be someone else's payday, that doesn't feel comforting to me. But if you truly want to get into it, there's so many different ways now. It's like the most accessible thing ever, and it's not hard. People tend to think how do you even get into something like that? Because it's so obscure. It's like a niche. You can straight up go on Google and look up pro wrestling schools. There's usually a few in everyone's area. A lot of local promotions. Don't go for the biggest name. I've also learned. Because a lot of times you're not even going to see the name while you're there. Go somewhere that's closer to you or that you feel comfortable at. Attend a few of the shows if they host shows, because then you're going to learn who these people are. And that was me with Sanctuary. I learned and grew to love Sanctuary before I ever became a student there. So yeah, look into the schools you're trying to join. Don't go in with expectations. That's my main thing. Don't have expectations for wrestling because wrestling will wipe them all away. I thought I was gonna walk into wrestling and be able to be even fatter than I am. like I was real chubby heading into wrestling. COVID took me out. And no, you gas, you sweat, you're out of breath all the time. When it's cold, it hurts. It hurts so bad. People will hurt your feelings. They'll make fun of you. and it's all feedback. And you just got to have like the heart to take it, because if you can't take it, you're not supposed to be in a wrestling ring.
Hmm. Yeah, that's like so true about like the expectations though, because when I first like started working for the business, like as a backstage like interviewer or like ring announcer or whatever, I was like, okay, I have all these expectations. It's gonna go like exactly like this, and then it was like the complete opposite. But like it was a good learning experience. But at the same time, it's not. It's never what I expect. It's always different, but it's a good different.
Even when you're in the ring, like, you'll go and you'll play in your matches, and like, we're gonna go out there and we're gonna have a banger. And then all of a sudden, I'm in the middle of a match. I'm like, where am I supposed to be right now? So I lock in a pinhold. I'm like, all right, brother, what are we doing now? That's what happens. Wrestling, you can't have expectations for anything you're doing in there.
No, yeah, I get it. So, like, when or if you watch your matches back, do you find yourself like being a self-critic of yourself? Like, oh my God, what am I doing? Why did I do that?
Yeah, I hate my matches. I haven't met a wrestler who actually sits back and like enjoys their matches.
Mm-hmm.
Um, because if you enjoy a match, you watch it until you hate it. It's studying yourself because you hate everything about until you hate everything about what you've done. So next time you go out, you do that better. And I believe I've gotten better over time. And I still watch a match and I'm like, this is horrible. Why would I do that? And like I'll try out a pose or something like that. And I'm like, that looks dumb. Put your arms down. And like it's just small things. Like, why am I looking off this way when I'm supposed to be talking this way? I have that. I have a tendency to like I'll look around. Maybe it's like I don't know, but it's really annoying. And every time I see it on camera, like I slap myself.
No, literally, I did a show like it was in the beginning of January of last year, and so like it was popping up in my memories, and I was watching it back, and like I was hearing like myself do interviews. I was like, oh, gross! I am not watching that. And like I saw that picture, I was like, what was I thinking? Well, why was I looking like that?
Pictures hurt your feeling the most.
No, really, yeah. And then people will be like, it wasn't that bad. I was like, yes, it was. Don't lie to me.
I'm a horrible wrestler. Don't ever compliment.
Yeah, good. But so Unknown says, would you want to start in NXT or SmackDown or Raw?
Whatever takes me. I'm not picky about like where I call home. I've never have been, which is why like I've been at Sanctuary and I've been such a homebody within Sanctuary.
Yeah.
Because as long as I can call it home, you've got me. I'm very loyal to that.
Yeah.
And I think if I ever had the privilege to do something like a SmackDown, NXT, or Raw, it doesn't matter to me.
Yeah.
So NXT is my preference because it's a lot more pro wrestling esque, and then you transition into sports entertainment, which isn't my cup of tea anymore. But it doesn't matter to me because whatever I can call home, I call home.
Okay, I see you. So now, if you could wrestle anywhere, wherever you want, and you could choose one place, where would you want that to be?
Probably Pro Wrestling Noah, as I mentioned earlier. These are all like old Japanese legends that I've always loved. You've got Kobashi, Mizawa, and now you've got guys like Keno, Kaito Kiyomiya. I'm probably listing a bunch of things that people have never heard of. You get Marufuji. It's just it's like a whole different industry. It's not the pro wrestling that we know here. It's a complete culture shock, and I love it. And it hurts more. When I watch it, it looks so much more snug, and that's just the style I like to work. I like throwing my punches. I like throwing my forearms. I like getting in there, fighting, and they fight.
Yeah, when I watched like, oh my God, there was a wrestler actually like in our area, and his name is Tarzan. He actually wrestles at the Sanctuary.
He's a monster.
He's crazy. I mean, I always see like his death matches and stuff. I'm like, bro, how are you not dead?
See him knife once and cut into someone's arm.
Oh my God, I seen that on Instagram when he posted that. I was like, I love you, but I'm not following you, because it was like 6:00 in the morning when I seen that. I was like, no.
People like that are why I don't want to do hardcore matches all the time.
Like, I'm not trying to lose an arm for wrestling.
It's not worth it.
Hey, if that's what Tarzan wants to do, I'll give it to him. But jeez.
I know Tarzan's great. I can only aspire to be like Tarzan. He's got so many years in this business, and I got to work around with him a little bit.
Yeah.
And he moved you like you're not. You think you're doing something, and you lock in, and all of a sudden he's moving you around, and you're like, oh, okay, this is what we're doing now. Yeah. And it's just incredible. He has a different mind for the industry that
No,
It's kind of
absolutely.
cool to be in there because there's cheers to this, and you realize, oh, okay, I thought I was here, but in reality, I'm like here, and then there's Tarzan, and then like I've also had the privilege of like being around when an Ace Austin wrestled, and I'm like, oh, there's Ace. So
No, it was like really it's cool to me like going to all like these different shows and stuff because like in one company you might be a heel and then one you might be a face.
yeah,
Like that's how it was with Tarzan. I've always known Tarzan as a face.
yeah,
So when we went to the sanctuary, he came out as a heel. I was like, what? What?
scary heel, like he's scary.
I don't know if I like that. Like, the the crowd there at the sanctuary was like not feeling him. I was like, whoa, back in my day when I saw Tarzan wrestle, he was loved. But I
Yeah,
don't know what he did. Was it his son? But
I
it
think he
was
wrestled Andre Polino, and like doing that's a death wish if you want to get cheered.
yeah.
Same thing as wrestling a Jorge Wapo. You don't want to do that when you're when you're trying to get cheered because there's like I said, it's such a tight bond, tight knitted community, and you're going against like their guys, you're going against Sanctuary itself because like all of us like we're like that place embodied, and so like come in here and like try to get like cheers out of the people that like they know us personally because we're that like in sync with the product. It's just not going to work out for you.
No, yeah. So in the chat, we have a full-on conversation amongst, I guess, my dad, your mom, and I guess your brother. My
Okay.
dad says, I think Unknown is his cousin. And then he says, I'm his brother. And
Uh,
then Teresa says, Unknown is his brother Isaiah.
oh,
LOL.
okay.
My dad goes and says, well, excuse me. My dad is a sassy man. Like, I
I've
don't
met
care.
him a few times. I can tell.
I love
He
him,
does
but he's
his own
crazy.
thing. He does his own thing.
Yeah. And then Unknown says, I think you'll have a chance against Tarzan if you had the opportunity. Can you imagine? Be like, okay, I'm going to have a match with Tarzan, and then you just lose an arm. Be like, yeah, well,
I had an opportunity.
be like, well, I have one less arm now, but
I watched his match against Precious. They wrestled at the last Sanctuary show,
yeah.
and Tarzan was just—he's on another level, like I said. And I see Precious, and like I know who Precious is because I've worked with Precious. I was
Yeah.
there when he first started training, and just seeing someone like have to like actually sit there and process, okay, where are we right now? As he's going, like he moves, like I don't know how to explain it. He's like,
Yeah.
he's on another level, and it feels like he's like, if you ever seen like a speedster in a superhero show where everyone else slows down around them, and they're like, and then they're just zooming. That's Tarzan.
No, that really is how he is. He's always like
Yeah.
crazy. But so obviously you and Precious were a tag team for a bit. How did that like happen? How did y'all become a tag team? Or was it just
So we formed off the faction that we started, I believe it was a year ago, called Honor Society. And the idea of Honor Society was I, as the student who was there the longest at the time I was still classified as a student, uh, they were all just joining. It was him, Crispy, and Zach Vander, and they were all just getting started. Zach has been around for a while. And I'm like, all right, they don't have anything to do with us. We've booked like 20 battle royals. So I went up to, we all sat down and we talked about it. And eventually we were like, you know what, we're kind of sick of just being the guys you throw in the battle royals when you got guys coming from who knows where. And we know we have the heart for it. We know we have the effort that we want to put into it because we showed that once we formed Honor Society. During a battle royal, all four of us stepped out of the ring at the same time for the second rope. Match never ended, and Honor Society was formed.
okay.
And then from there, I bullied Zach a little bit. He ran away. It's whatever. And it's tough love. And then later on, we were on top of the world at one point. I was the spotlight champion and tag team champion at one point. I gave Chris the chance to defend the tag title. He lost it in like 16 seconds.
Obviously.
So I kicked him out right then and there. And then it was just me and Precious. So initially, like we were the start of it regardless. Like it was our two minds together that wanted Honor Society to be a thing. Such different characters, polar opposites. And it kind of gave me Kevin Owens, Sami Zayn vibes. So I really liked it. And I don't know. I just thought like our chemistry was a lot different than anyone else's because you don't go to a wrestling show and see people who dress completely different. He's wearing MC Hammer pants, and sometimes I'll come out wearing jeans and a Yankee jersey. So
It's completely different. Like, I was like, "Oh my god, they're a tag team?" I mean, I've saw Precious a little bit at, like, other shows, and so I, like, knew his style, but when y'all came out together, I was like, "This is different." Their
And
style
it's
is,
more
like
fun about the fact that we're friends.
yeah, but
And
it was
I like it. It's a different dynamic, and that's kind of how the team came up to be. Everyone was gone. We lost everything. I had no titles. He had no titles. Honor Society. What left did we have to fight for? And then we got the opportunity to face DTF, who nobody likes. DTF. They suck. I hate the guys. And so we said, all right, we can't let DTF go out this season as tag team champions. So what did we do? We went in there, we kicked their asses, took the belts, and getting the belts, I got to face two of my cousins, Johnny Moran and the Crispy. And what did we do? We beat them too. And
yeah.
I think it really did something to me because when we inevitably lost back to those scum known as DTF, I just couldn't bear to be in a team anymore because I feel like it was holding me down. I felt like my shoulders were heavy and I was wearing a backpack that had rocks in it. And that backpack just happened to be precious. So I did what I needed to do and I left them. And it's unfortunate, but it is what it is. Like I said, I'm unapologetic and I do what I need to do to get ahead. And that's
Yeah.
exactly what happened.
Yeah, I was gonna say, let me touch on a couple of those. Johnny Moran sucks. I do not like that man. I don't know. He makes me like want to smack him in the most respectful way. But I was like, oh my god, no, absolutely not. But oh my god, when you ditched, when what's it called? When Precious came out for the hug, and like you just, I was like, no, don't do this to Precious.
Yeah.
I was like, don't do this. Come on, come back, go give him a hug. And my dad was like, yep, he just ditched him. I was like, no, it's not fair to Precious. But it was
And Precious got his get back. We were the final two in the spotlight scramble. And eventually, it happens where the guy that came out from under you, eventually they're going to get the one up on you. And that just happened at Sanctuary, at a
yeah.
Survival. Unfortunate for me, but I'm proud of him. He deserves everything he gets in life.
No, yeah, absolutely. So Unknown says, yeah, no one likes DTF.
And,
I'm not even kidding, guys. DTF is literally gonna be on the podcast next Saturday, so I'll be telling them. I'll be telling them.
go ahead.
And then my dad is booing DTF, so
Yep,
don't know how that's gonna happen next week, but it's fine. It's cool. And then Unknown says Johnny Moran isn't our cousin.
that's not true. Crispy's half brother. Therefore, he's not my cousin.
That's unfortunate. I'm so sorry.
I know. Sad.
I don't know how I'd feel if Johnny Moran was my cousin.
I try not to think about it, but he's hitting the hay now. He's an old man off to his pastures.
Grandpa, yeah.
And he's got his career on the line at Titan Pro Wrestling, Titan Championship Wrestling. That's crazy to me because I grew up watching Johnny Moran, and he's a little annoying, but I don't know how I'm gonna feel if a guy like Aaron Roxas is the guy that puts him down. Like, I'm right here, Johnny. Just saying, like, you want it to get done properly. I'm right there.
Yeah, Aaron Roxas is another one. I don't know. Those two remind me. That's what you said too about Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens. I literally hated them with everything inside me. So that's exactly what Johnny Moran and Aaron Roxas remind me of. I'm like, bro, no, y'all need to go. Like, get out. But it's a hate love kind of thing with me and Johnny. I've watched him like forever.
Yeah, he's been around forever. He's an old ass man.
He really is. So now, out of all the places you have wrestled, it doesn't have to be company, but like just the place, the venue. If you could go back, where would that place be?
Three Legacies Wrestling. I worked there once, and it was crazy. I was supposed to be on the pre-show, and me and my opponent, we were working something out, and then we found out the guys in the co-main event tag match, they didn't show up to the show. So Jesus comes up to us, Ricardo Rodriguez, and as a kid, my great-grandfather loved Alberto Del Rio, and then I loved Alberto Del Rio. Because of it, I got to meet his manager, and he just spoke to us like a completely normal human being, and I was trying so hard not to mark out. And he was like, well, guys, I'm sorry, you got to cut off your match. We need someone to fill in for the co-main event. You're sorry that I have to be in the co-main event in front of 500 people? Absolutely. And yeah, that was one of my first paid gigs ever too. So it's really cool. It's just an all-around great experience. I love the backstage. I love the feeling the crowd gave. They didn't like me much. I didn't like them, but like I liked the buzz they had.
No, yeah, absolutely. I that is one show I've always wanted to go to, but we have not yet been there. But it's okay. There's like 1,000 different like shows now everywhere. There's a
Yeah,
show
I'm
every
so
week.
happy. Pennsylvania was dead for a while, and I feel like we're
Yeah,
finally on the come up again. I don't gotta go and travel to Jersey to do something anymore. Like I could stay in my state now. Like
yeah.
what's it called? That new one that's starting up.
New era.
Yeah, New Era. I've spoken with them a bit. I'm very excited for New Era. I think that's going to be a hot spot coming up very soon.
No, literally. And I'm not trying to brag, but I was like their first announcement. So like,
Yeah,
I gotta get that spotlight too. No, I'm just kidding. But like you said, it's gonna be a fun show. We're gonna bring everyone to it.
right.
But so my dad says I have a better car, so we'll soon go. We'll see. We'll see.
ALW is a funny scene. I don't know when the next time I'm going to be there, but I wouldn't be upset to go there and just be a fan. And it's been a long time since I sat at a show as a fan. I
Maybe.
would go to Three Legacy Wrestling and enjoy the wrestling show.
No, yeah. And I think there's a lot of times too that wrestlers will just go like as a fan or to like help out even just a little bit and you'll end up getting thrown in a match
You know,
that
that's
like
usually what happens. Like, you get your hands dirty and people will see it and they'll respect it. Like I said, you can't have expectations. You go in there, you get
yeah.
on the card or not.
Yeah. It's still fun just to go.
Yeah,
But so do you have like a specific warm up you do before you come out the curtain? Or
it depends. Like if it's a really serious match, I'll have my earbuds in and I'll have some like really hype music playing. Um, I'll have me and Precious like I'll have him come and like punch my gut a bit and like just like I gotta get the adrenaline going if I feel like a match is gonna be really big and like that's what we'll do. I remember one time it was like last year. Precious he did a prayer and I don't know what Jewish people call their prayers, but he did a prayer before we went out and I'm not very religious, but it was kind of cool. Felt really cool, very special. And yeah, so it's honestly with whoever I'm with, thing, or else I'm listening to music, or I'm just getting in my head and telling myself, all right, this is your chance, your opportunity to do the best you can. And it's just words of affirmation for yourself. And like, there's people out there who don't want to see you here. There's people out there who don't think you look like you have the role. There's people out there who don't want to see Vince Torres succeed. So now go and succeed. And I feel like that's the mindset I have to have with pro wrestling. And in
no,
life.
no, absolutely. And like it's the cool thing like with the sanctuary too. Like you have like all those opportunities. Like there's so many great wrestlers, like you said, from the area and they're always like coming in and out. So you always have that like opportunity.
Yeah, I've
But
got to wrestle a lot of really cool guys. Junie Underwood.
ugh,
Um,
sucks.
you don't
Junior
like Junie?
sucks.
It's all
No,
right, you know.
no. It's
Troy
a
Lock. I'm not sure if you know who Troy Lock is. Very cool guy from Jersey. Wrestled very similar to me. In fact, when I was at Three Legacy, someone asked if I was his brother.
God.
Yeah, so it's uncomfortable because we wrestled very similar.
Yeah.
um, who else? Frankie Picard. He's another guy from Jersey. He's worked BZW and all that. Yeah, I've got to work with so many cool people. So
Yeah.
Sanctuary, say that's why I don't mind being so homebound in Sanctuary sometimes because people come to Sanctuary. I don't really have to go out as much.
No, yeah, yeah, yeah. So, like, obviously, the dude wrestles a lot at the sanctuary.
I
Have you
love
had
the
a
dude.
match with him yet or not yet?
So, and I'm very upset about it because I would love to work with the dude. I've got to train with the dude at High Grounds and like
Yeah.
we were working. um, he's such a different character to me too. Like he's a character, and then like I'm in there like I want to fight. I want to make the dude fight. I want to get the dude angry enough that he wants to fight.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So this right here, right now, this is my call out to the dude. 2024 is a brand new year. I'm a brand new Vince Torres, an angrier Vince Torres, a much more polished Vince Torres. Vince Torres is a former champion, former leader of Team Sanctuary and Night of Survival, former leader of the Honor Society, former Spotlight champion, two-time tag team champion, Iron Man of the Sanctuary Stampede, yet to be announced Sanctuary Spotlight of the Year for our year-end award. Vince Torres is up there now, dude. You don't have much places to hide anymore. You go to High Ground. I'll follow you to High Ground. This match is going to happen, brother.
Drop the mic. The mic that you don't have, but damn right.
Where everything's a mic.
Yeah, I'm gonna crop that and I'm gonna send it to him. I'm post it, be like, dude.
So,
But but the dude as well, he like he's a whole different person. Like I was expecting him. I saw him actually. It was him and I forgot who it was. I think it was Jorge. I saw them literally at like the WWE show, and like the dude was still the dude. I was like,
That wasn't actually the dude.
it
So
was.
there was someone who looked just like him sitting next to Jorge at the show, and he tagged the dude in it.
Oh my god!
But
I swear to God, I thought it was.
I
It
thought
was
it was the dude too. I'm like, oh, that's cool. They got seats next to each other. But the dude is the dude outside of like wrestling. Like,
yeah.
and then
I
I'll get done with talking to him, and I'll be doing the dude voice. Like, yeah, dude.
No, I remember when he was on the podcast, I was just like laughing my ass off the whole time. And like when he had the match with Cosmic, he was like, okay, here's some gummies. And she's like, yeah, no, it's not happening. But I wouldn't trust it either. But just okay. But Teresa says, we love dude. We do.
Dude's great.
He's all right. No, he's fun. He's all right.
Just had a match with Shane Douglas. He's doing pretty well for himself.
Oh my God. I was at that show. Oh my God. He stressed me out. I
Yeah.
love this dude, but that was like, come on.
Yeah.
Get it moving. I'm about to get in there and help you out. I'd probably die, but it's okay.
Yeah. I don't know. These old heads, they're a little bit more sensitive these days. You might have gotten some lucky there.
I don't know about that, but it's okay. I mean, you're still fairly young, but do you think in the far future, do you think it's going to be like an age thing, a mindset thing, or an injury thing that causes you to, call it quits?
Probably
Or what do you want it to be or wish it to be?
I just want to be comfortable. I feel like I've said this a lot on a bunch of interviews. Comfortability is like my main goal in life, and people think like that's just setting like something for yourself and like being satisfied. Being comfortable isn't being satisfied. Being comfortable is just being happy enough where you are. And if I'm happy enough that I'm happy with everything I've done and everything I've attributed to this and like how much effort I put into it and the art I've made, then I'm okay with leaving. As of right now, I don't feel like I've been bruised and battered enough. I don't feel like I've fought enough battles. I don't feel like I've gotten my name out there enough. So I'm not satisfied. If I were to like get injured tomorrow, I'd be very pissed off and I probably wouldn't let it down for a long time.
No, absolutely, absolutely. So now, speaking on an indies level, you could face anyone. Who would you want to have a match with?
There's a lot of guys. A lot of guys. I've been wanting to face Kit Raff for a long time. I feel like I really like Kit Raff, and I feel like we'd have a really, really good match. Who else?
Kit Raff is a bitch in the most respectful way. He's a bitch. He ditched me on the podcast. I was like, come on. I mean, I like him. He's all right because he's with Adina, but other than that, I was like,
I gotta think. There's a few guys I'd like to get in there with. I want to face guys that I faced already when I wasn't good. Like I want to face guys that I faced when I was getting thrown around. I want to go back and I want to wrestle PJ Savage again. PJ Savage is someone I've been wanting to wrestle for a long time, especially recently when he became Sanctuary Champion. Came into my home and won my belt, and I felt helpless. I couldn't do anything about it. But maybe something will change there.
yeah.
Prince Ahmed I wrestled. He's who I beat for the Spotlight title. Not that I pinned him, no, but in the win column, it's there that I have a win over Prince Ahmed. So Prince Ahmed wants his get back. One-on-one would be really nice. A lot of the Walker clan. I want to face a lot of the Walker clan.
Yeah. You should face Walker. Get Walker out of here.
I don't know.
Grandpa's bones like that.
Yeah.
It like I said, the Sanctuary was it was so fun. It was different because like me and my dad, we know one of the two fans that go there. Their names are Beth and Trish, and so they are intense. I was like, whoa, I've never seen this side of you guys, but I love it.
People that still believe it, wholeheartedly, and I'll talk to them. I'm like, this is so cool. They'll come up to me and they'll be pissed about what someone did to them, and I don't explain to them hey guys, this is what it is. I like watching them get angry. And they're still so nice to me. I could be the meanest person. I could actually hurt someone that they're a big fan of, and then they'll start not liking them because I beat them up. So
yeah, that's how they are. That's how they are. But Teresa says, Harley, have you ever thought about being a wrestler? I have. So little 6-year-old me, my dad started taking me to the indie shows, and I was like, yes, I'm gonna be like them. That's what I'm gonna do. And now I'm like, no, because interviewing them, they're like, okay, well, this is this, and this. I'm like, yeah, no, I'm gonna leave that to you. Let me just be an interviewer or manager. I like screaming at people. So I think interviewing or being someone's manager, be like, let's go. What are you doing? Pick your ass up and let's go. Don't just lay there. Come on. Like what's hard? Like if I was your manager and you were going against Tarzan, I'd be like, come on, he's whipping your ass and you just sitting there.
No, you need a new client after that. You got me a match for Tarzan, I'd be very upset. I'd have to like look for new management.
We'd celebrate for a minute, but after you'd be like, well,
I'm not like, all right, I just had the match. This isn't working.
you're like, it's over. It's fine. But so do you have merch? And if so, where can people purchase it at?
I do have merch actually. I don't have any on me at the moment, but on Pro Wrestling Tees, I dropped 2 shirts. I dropped my unapologetic logo and a shirt that has the definition of lariat and it's the act of decapitating someone unapologetically. And that's my favorite one so far. I'm gonna have that shipped in for myself, and I'm gonna probably within like the next year at Sanctuary, I'm gonna have a bunch of those. And at High Ground, I'm gonna start bringing them around. But yeah, merch is on Pro Wrestling Tees / Vince Torres brand.
All right, fun. So now, if people want to see you like at in person, like at shows, where can they see you at?
Sanctuary. You can find me at Sanctuary, High Ground Pro Wrestling. I make my rounds. Sometimes I'm at I'll hope to be at 3 Legacies again. Sometimes I'm over at Chosen Pro Wrestling. We're in Jersey, Titan Championship Wrestling. I get around, but if you want to see me, your best chance of seeing me is at Sanctuary. That's my home, and it'll be my home for a long time.
Okay. And now, lastly, most importantly, if they want to follow you on social media, where can they find you at?
All Vince Torres brand. I try to keep it simple. Besides on Twitter, I don't use Twitter, but for you old heads, it's _ Vince Torres _.
Okay. Guys, so please go give him a follow. His Instagram is also linked down below. And it's so funny you said that because at my jobs, everyone knows like I'm a big wrestling fan, but they're like, okay, where can we find you? I'm like, well, because you're old, you could probably find me on Facebook.
On Facebook, yeah.
If you're younger, I'd say Instagram's the way to go.
Yeah. I can't wait for wrestling to transfer over more to Instagram over Facebook. Everyone's on Facebook.
I hate Facebook. I am the least active on there, but
Instagram. No, I'm like an old school soccer dad. I love. I like Facebook.
It's all right. But thank you so much for coming on. It was fun. You know, have Chris P on at some point. You know,
maybe
it's fine. Well, that'll always some point in this year. It's okay. Not stressing it. But thank you all. Exactly. But thank you so much, guys. I'll be back tomorrow with Vanna Black. So make sure you're obviously following him on Instagram. Make sure you're subscribing, you know, doing all that fun stuff. And obviously, because I'm going to work for them and probably this one over here too, make sure you're following New Era Pro Wrestling because they're going to be having some crazy stuff. And Kit Raff was their first announced wrestler on their roster. Wow. So, you know, who knows, baby.
You got Fool there, don't you? Got to help me out.
We'll see. But thank you all so much. Thank you for all the views. And I'll be back tomorrow.